I had originally said Knuckles Chaotix, and it's still Knuckles Chaotix.
Yep.
That is mostly because I have Knuckles Chaotix complete in box.
Oh, okay.
And that affects the value tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like almost a $300 game.
Dang. What's it without the box?
I'm not sure. It's probably high.
Hundreds.
It's either in the hundreds or the high, like 90s area. Which is funny because it's such a average game in
Your
reality.
box, the quality is really nice for it.
The
too.
front looks really nice. The side's all ripped up.
How much did you pay for it?
I got that at a yard sale for $5.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So that's probably one of your most, like, if you sold it, that probably you'd get the most money back from that one. Wow.
Yeah, no,
sick.
I went to a yard sale and it was literally sitting on a stack of like old like any Nintendo games and stuff.
Oh, you gotta hit up yard sales, people. You never know what
This was
people don't
this.
know what they're selling.
Well, no, this was years ago though. But I saw it sitting there. I didn't even have a 32X at the time. I just was like, hey.
I'll have one day.
I was like, I wanted one. I was like, this is a boxed 32X game. I'm buying this regardless.
Dang.
$5. I was like, fuck it. Hey guys, I'm Bill, also known as the Barbecue Games on Instagram.
And I'm Alex, his sister, who brings only chaos.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a mostly video game centered podcast.
But half the time, we just talk about anime.
And that collecting thing, well, that's mostly just an implication at best.
So come along and enjoy us on this adventure
as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
I've been here and there and everywhere. Ah!
Okay. Well, it's been a bit of a week since the last time we recorded. Mm-hmm. Not much has happened. I mean, other than you're trying to buy a condo.
Yeah, or a house. I'm just trying to buy something, but, you know.
Yep.
Woo!
Other than that, we work.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Still working in golf ball land.
Yep. Golf balls.
The wonderful world of golf.
Yep. We like golf. Not really, though. Neither of us play golf.
No, but we're key components to a company that makes golf. So
Yeah.
I know more about how to make a golf ball now than most people do.
Yeah. There's a lot of science behind it. It's cool.
It's a lot of dangerous machinery.
Yeah, besides that, though, this week hasn't really been... There wasn't really that much that was eventful.
No, it's been pretty unremarkable. I mean, other than that, you've been watching One Piece again.
Playing Arceus a little bit. I'm really stuck, though, so...
Yeah, you had your first rage quit moment.
Yeah, I was just getting so annoyed.
We had the classic Alex, this game's stupid, I'm never playing it again.
It was really annoying where I'm stuck. I just don't know. I don't know the trick of it. I gotta Google, like, a walkthrough to see how to beat it.
Yeah, but other than that, she's been doing her One Piece binges. And I've been... So Yashihime finally finished up.
Womp, womp,
Yeah, you're so sad. We get it. You don't like sequel anime. Blah blah blah.
I just don't care about it. It's not that I don't like it. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I started reading the Black Clover manga.
Yeah, because she's leeching off of my Viz account.
Yeah. Well, also because I wanted to see where the anime ended, because the anime only ended because like the manga got caught up and they like couldn't like make any more episodes.
Yeah. No, but other than that, I've been watching Spy Family, an episode here and there, and Kaguya-sama.
Yeah.
And other than that, I did get a few new games to add to the collection updates.
Ooh.
So I bought both ports of Ni no Kune 1 and 2 for the Switch, along with the the Tasmanian Tiger HD collection, which is the first two games because the third game sucks ass. I'm not sure if that's the actual reason why the third game wasn't included, but that's just my theory.
It came with a boomerang.
That's a thumb drive.
Yeah, a bum drive.
Your head's up your bum, so...
That's what it sounded like for a second.
Yeah. But anyways, other than that, it's been pretty relaxed.
Yeah. Yesterday I looked at a bunch of houses.
I worked.
Bill worked. I looked at so many houses yesterday. Like, you really don't, you don't realize how much they fluff up those photos until you actually are there and you're like, this.
Yeah, like the one with the pot growing in the basement.
Oh yeah, there was one that had like just this elaborate setup that was definitely for growing pot. And it just looked like, you know, like when you can tell a house is a flip. Like, it's very much like this was flipped in like a week. It was definitely one of those places. The commute to work would have been awesome, but I didn't trust it, especially if they have a dehumidifier going in the basement. It's usually a bad sign.
Yeah. No, but other than that, it's only 1 o'clock, like just after noon, so we're not drinking right now.
Yeah, we did our chores for today. We did laundry.
Yep.
We did grocery shopping.
I'm drinking a ginger ale if anyone wants to know.
I'm drinking my coffee, iced white mocha. Baker in the brouhaha.
Yeah. But other than that, it's been pretty chill. So I guess moving on now.
Yeah.
We have a topic. So I guess this is kind of a follow-up to our the reaction list we did earlier where we were talking about my top 20 RPGs. I did another kind of interesting list way back. Like one of my first real attempts at making trying to make like higher quality content for my blog, which I learned is pointless because that's just not how Instagram works. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of fun. Like it was one of the first real earliest points where you could see like the early forms of what would become like the podcast's like art style and art direction.
Yeah.
So the idea of this list was I went over the most expensive games in my video game collection for each console.
Yep.
And I thought it would be fascinating if we went back and looked at them and compared and contrast to now versus then and see how things have changed, because it is pretty fascinating. So I guess the best place to start is I kind of did these I separated them by consoles.
Yep.
To a degree. She's trying to find it.
I didn't know we were referencing something.
But yeah, so I did them by consoles, and I kind of like went most valuable game for each system, and then I kind of like made this little thing. So I guess the best place to start is the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
NES.
And my most valuable game back then was Dragon Warrior 4, just a cartridge. And ironically, actually, I found out that it's still my most valuable game on the system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's some other like more valuable games. Like I do have a loose copy of 10 Gen Tetris as well, but for the most part, Dragon Warrior 4 is definitely the most valuable.
What makes it so valuable?
Yeah, it was a late release, an RPG, so there wasn't a lot made.
Mm-hmm. It's like a cult classic too.
I mean, retroactively it is. Dragon Quest IV is one of like the best in the series, and Dragon Warrior 4 is pretty cool to like look back on. It's arguably the best RPG on the NES.
Oh wow.
Arguably.
It
depends on your opinions, really. So moving on, then we get to the Super Nintendo, and the Super Nintendo at the time I made this list, my most valuable game was Earthbound. Look up. You're never gonna find it doing that. Look up hashtag the Barber Who Games.
Oh god.
She's trying to find these things on my Instagram. They're way.
I didn't know we were doing this.
Well, I made this list back in like 2019.
Hashtag the Barber Who Games. Alright, I did that.
And then you just scroll through there and look for the ones like this. We're professionals, people.
Well, you didn't give me a heads up. Oh, is this?
No, that's my RPG list. They're these ones.
Oh, okay.
So probably that's the one to start, yeah.
Ah, I found it, guys. Found it.
Yep.
Earthbound. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my...
Oh, wait. Did we compare the price, like, of Dragon Warrior? Like, how much did you spend on it then versus how much is it worth now?
I bought the game... So these are rough. Very rough estimates. Because game prices are very fluctuating.
Yeah.
Now, like, there's no real... There's no consistent way of, like, actually, there's no specific way of actually like calculating this stuff because everybody has their own like opinions.
Yep.
But
how much did you originally spend on it?
So my copy I bought was, I want to say I spent like $70
$70
for the cart loose.
Yep.
And nowadays loose it tends to go for. So the average price I found based off price charting, and keep in mind these are very loose numbers.
Yeah.
Is around 150.
Oh wow.
So it's definitely gone up, and
yeah.
I mean when I look at my collection in general, like the second most valuable game is actually Dragon Warrior 3, then Tengen Tetris. Those are all the $100 plus games.
Yeah.
Then Dragon Warrior 2. Ironically, Dragon Warrior 1 actually isn't worth much.
Oh.
Which is funny. But yeah, other than that, like they're not that valuable.
Yeah.
And I just happened to. I got kind of lucky because I found it at Bowser's Basement at one point, and he was $80 for a loose copy. Wasn't a bad deal.
Yeah.
But anyways, now, so the Super Nintendo. At the time I made the list, the prices between these two kind of were fluctuating. Mm-hmm. So originally, I had Earthbound as my most valuable game.
Yep. And
since then, a loose copy of Earthbound, which at the time I actually got also from Bowser's Basement for $139.
Yep.
Or $140. Nowadays, it's actually going for around $370.
Oh, Jesus.
27, just the loose cartridge.
Oh my God.
Specify that. But that isn't even my most valuable game, because I actually, since then, it's been surpassed by the original Harvest Moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is like a $445 game loose.
That's insane. So packaged, I'm assuming, would be like...
So Harvest Moon was a very late Super Nintendo game.
Wow. And
it went very under the radar, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I found that my copy is in incredibly terrible shape. Like, it's not... It's very ugly looking. The card itself works fine. Mm. But the game, it looks terrible. But yeah. I paid $200 for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that one's shifted a little bit. Now, moving on from there, we get the N64. And the N64 is kind of a fascinating console because it has some expensive games, but...
And I hate it.
Well, we know.
I'm dying.
But, yeah, my most valuable game at the time was Conker's Bad Fur Day. And it still is.
Oh, and how much did you pay for Conker's Bad Fur Day?
So I paid not...
Oh, yeah, and why is it so expensive?
Well, it came out very late in the system's lifespan. It's become a cult following.
Yeah.
It was not super... it wasn't particularly, like, advertised at the time.
Well, yeah, because it also was very, not kid-friendly. Which is very not Nintendo, too. Which is kind of funny. And didn't it also get remakes recently?
Well, it got the remake for Xbox, which censored it heavily.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's definitely one of the most sought after. So here's the thing. I'm actually checking prices again, and Conker might actually not be my most valuable. Because you have to keep in mind these are loose prices, and I always sometimes mix them up with complete prices. Mm-hmm. So actually, looking at it closer, my most valuable N64 game might actually be Goemon's Great Adventure.
Oh, what's that?
So it was one of the Mystical Ninja games.
Uh-huh.
And there was two that were released for N64, and both of them have since become very sought after collectibles.
Yep.
And that tends to go for $150.
Oh, okay.
But also Castlevania Legacy of Darkness is up there, and Ogre Battle 64, all of which are apparently more valuable than Conker these days.
Oh, okay.
But all of them are kind of in that 120 to 150 range, so like they kind of blend together.
Do you think Conker's pricing went down because there's available ways to play it outside of the N64?
Well, it went down. It went down a little bit after the Rare Replay re-release, which was the re-release of the original version.
Oh, okay.
But since then, the N64 collecting market has shot up again, and it's kind of back up there.
Oh, okay. So the difference between what you paid versus what is now?
Yeah, I mean, the big difference, the reason why there's more, I'd say more rare games than Conker are... Conker is very well known, despite its kind of rarity. No one really remembers Ogre Battle. Castlevania Legacy of Darkness isn't one of the best Castlevanias, and Goemon's Great Adventure is one of the most niche games ever made. But anyways, now moving on to the GameCube.
The GameCube.
So at the time with the GameCube, I had listed my most valuable game as Fire Emblem Path to Radiance.
Yep.
And since then, nothing has changed. It's still Fire Emblem Path to Radiance.
How much did you pay for it?
So at the time I bought Path to Radiance, I actually overpaid.
Oh, okay.
I bought Path to Radiance around 2013, right after the Fire Emblem boom when Awakening came out.
I think I remember you talking about this.
So I paid like $200 and something for my copy. It then went down for a while, and it was it was around like 90 to 100, and it's since shot up to like almost 300.
Oh wow!
Because GameCube is extremely hot at the moment.
So you got a bad deal, but it ended up being okay.
Well, yeah, it's about what I paid now. But granted, I mean, it's a great game. It's just very rare.
Is it rare just because it was like a Japanese JRPG?
JRPG, very niche series in general. Not a lot of hype around it at the time.
Yep.
It's funny though, because I look at the other very valuable GameCube games that I own. Both the Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, those are both almost around 130 to almost 200.
Oh wow!
Which is hilarious because I got those in a freaking bargain bin at a GameStop.
Oh my god! Well, you'd make a good money off that if you ever sold it.
Hell, even Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is up there in the hundreds now.
That doesn't surprise me since that's such a great game.
It is, but I paid like $15 for it way back. And then other Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, Zelda Twilight Princess are all way up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so GameCube hasn't really changed much. Now moving on to the Wii's a fascinating one I was very interested in.
Wii.
At the time, the Wii. No, that's
most valuable game is Just Dance number 50,000.
So at the time, my most valuable Wii game was Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn.
Yep.
But since then, it's actually shifted to because I have since actually acquired a copy of Metroid Prime Trilogy, the Steelbook original.
Oh.
Which is considerably more valuable.
Yep.
And I managed to get my hands on that at a GameStop. Actually, it was chilling on the shelf.
Oh.
But it's basically just a compilation of the 3 Metroid Prime games into one.
Yep.
But when it first came out in a very limited release, and it was like a special steelbook.
Yep.
Collector's edition. And it was even rarer then. It was since re-released with a it was it was re-released with, it was they just did a regular game release, regular case, and that was the version that they re-released, which is still rare but not nearly as rare. But yeah, so the Wii actually did change, which surprised me. And other rare Wii games I own actually are Kirby's Dream Collection, which I'm surprised is as rare as it is. That's just a compilation of all the classic Kirby games from one disc. Pandora's Tower, that was one of the Project Rainfall RPGs.
Yep.
But anyways, so then moving on.
Well, how much did you spend on Fire Emblem versus what is
Radiant Dawn? I spent $80. It's gone up a little. It's around 100 now.
Oh, okay. So
that one's pretty.
If you sold this one, you wouldn't really make your money.
No.
Make any extra money. Okay.
Now the Wii U.
Wii U.
The Wii U, my
garbage.
Hey, that's Retro Hangover's favorite console. But
it's trash.
Coming from the girl who hates the N64.
Yeah, that's super trash.
But anyways, so the Wii U was interesting because I had no idea what this was going to be the most valuable game. It's actually for me, it's Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD.
Yep.
At $80. At the time, it was my rarest, and it's still the rarest game I own. Ironically, behind that though is Xenoblade Chronicles X, one of the few games that's still exclusive to it. Tank for some reasons up there. Granted, none of these are particularly valuable. The Twilight Princess is at 81.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it is probably the best way to play Twilight Princess, but still. But yeah, so the Wii U hasn't really changed much. Then the Switch. Oh, the Switch. So for the Switch,
It's the Switch.
because of how new the console was at the time, I had done the Octopath Traveler Wayfarer's Collector's Edition, which was this big like box, like awesome, like little collector's set. It is. It was like it's kind of like a big book that you'd open up.
Yeah.
That was my most valuable at the time, and it still is, because that thing's going for like 160 these days.
Oh damn.
Ironically, my second most valuable game for the Switch is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which was a limited run game that's going for like 118 now, and I found that at a freaking Best Buy.
Oh really?
I guarantee you, if you go to a bunch of Best Buys and just look around, you probably find a copy for like nothing.
Yeah.
But anyways, so after that, then we get into the Virtual Boy.
Oh boy.
So
Master's Funky Boy.
Yeah, that was my most valuable game, and it still is. It's around $82. I paid like $60 for it originally.
Oh, okay.
The Virtual Boy games kind of fluctuate. There's definitely more valuable ones. They've gone up a bit. Like Wario Land's up to $60 now. Like Panic Bomber's up there. Mario Clash. But yeah, Mister's Funky Bowling's probably my most valuable.
I'm kind of surprised. I thought like these games would be more expensive, but I guess maybe it's because.
Well, to keep in mind, these are loose too, like in the boxes. But even then, there's ones like Waterworld, which is like hundreds of dollars. Jack Brothers, like these really rare ones.
Yep.
Now moving on to the original Game Boy. So I had Mystical Ninjas starring Goemon, which is another one of the few Goemon games we actually got over here. And it is still my most valuable original Game Boy game.
I found it.
It's funny because it goes for like $70 loose apparently now.
Oh.
And it's funny because right behind it is a Pokemon Red, Yellow, and Blue, which are like half the price of it. But they're still up there. And keep in mind, these are all loose cartridges. And then the Game Boy Color has its own selection. And for me, then it was Resident Evil Gaiden, and it's still Resident Evil Gaiden.
Oh.
Which is a very obscure Resident Evil spin-off for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
I paid, for my copy, I paid like $60. And it's going for almost $200 now.
Oh, damn.
Depending on where you look.
You make good money if you sold it.
Keep in mind, the whole thing is also if you can resell it.
Oh, yeah, true.
Just because it's worth this doesn't mean that's what you're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
And the closest game, I have a couple actually pretty valuable ones, like Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel is up there. Revelations the Demon Slayer, which was an early Atlas game.
Yep.
Pokemon Crystal, Lufia. Oh, there's a whole bunch that are getting up there in price. But after that, then we get to Game Boy Advance. And Game Boy Advance is also pretty interesting, because then we get... my most valuable game then was Pocky and Rocky with Becky.
Yep. And
it is still Pocky and Rocky with Becky.
It's actually... Becky the little girl?
No, that's Pocky.
Oh. Who's Becky?
Another little girl. Well, they're not even little. They're just priestesses. They're just chibi art. But, yeah, Pocky and Rocky with Becky is like the Pocky and Rocky series in general, it's a spin-off of a series called like Kiki Kaki, I believe.
Yep.
And they are really niche but really amazing, like shoot-'em-up games where you play as like a priestess and like a tanuki, and you can just go through like these like really Japanese like shoot-'em-up levels. There was 2 games on the SNES. And then there was this one on the GBA, which is very valuable. And there's actually going to be a new one coming out for the Switch pretty soon, which is I'm looking forward to.
Fun.
It's funny though. I paid $70 for this at Bowser's Basement. It's up to almost $300.
Oh damn!
Just the cart.
Wow. That's crazy.
And then my second most valuable is I have a complete copy of Castlevania Aria of Sario, which is almost like $250.
Wow.
It's crazy how much like these games fluctuate in price. Now, moving on. So the next one is actually one that I found really fascinating, is the DS. So the DS, originally, my most valuable DS game was... So I struggled when I made this list to find a actual DS game that was the most valuable I owned. And I went with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon
Explorers
of the Sky. which was a pretty valuable game at the time.
Yep.
But
not so much now.
So now, it's actually... So I'll say this. Like, I'm looking at the list. It's like... Out of all the DS games I own, it's like down like around like the 15th most valuable I own.
Okay, so definitely not as valuable.
Keep in mind that value is like still like 95.
Okay. How much did you pay for it?
I paid like 40, I think.
Oh, okay. So you like paid for like the regular price, basically.
Yeah, I got it at the right time because there was a. This is before all the Pokemon games just went fucking through the roof.
Yeah. In
terms of value. But the most valuable game I own now for the DS is I have a copy of Etrian Odyssey 3: The Drowned City, which I paid $20 for, and it is now almost $218.
Dang.
What it's going for now. Which I find bizarre because I'm like,
you could get.
I don't even know why it's that rare. It must be a rare game.
That's like one tank of gas now.
Yeah.
No.
But it's funny because below it is like Dragon Quest V, Dementium 2, Rune Factory 3, Pokemon Soul Silver version, Pokemon White, Chrono Trigger. Even Chrono Trigger on the DS is expensive, so there's like no cheap way to play that game. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective. Even that Inuyasha game on the DS is expensive for no reason.
Why not?
Yeah, DS stuff has like gone through the roof lately. That's why I found that really entertaining when I looked it up. Now,
3.
Yeah, I know. Moving on to the 3DS.
3.
So, when I made this list originally, the 3DS actually was probably one of the harder ones to figure out the price, what was most valuable. I went with the the 2 Persona Q special editions I own. Yeah. Since then, it's actually shifted a bit, and the most valuable, the Persona Q, original Persona Q, has since become more valuable. Mm-hmm. And that is currently my most valuable game on the 3DS. Ironically, the second most valuable game I own on the 3DS is Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Oh,
that
doesn't surprise me.
At $150 complete. That game shot up in price, and I still remember when I picked it up day one, and literally they didn't even have it on display because no one came in for it, and I had to go ask for them to go get it out of the back.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Now, other than that, so now we're going to move on to the Sega consoles.
Sega.
So, starting with the Sega Master System, originally I had said Glovelius Valley of Doom was my most valuable because I had it complete in box. Yeah. And that is still a pretty valuable game at like 72. Mm-hmm. But since then, I also have a copy of Phantasy Star.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was with you when you got there, right?
No, you were with me when I got... We'll get to that later.
Oh.
But, so, Phantasy Star, the original, I have a loose card of it. And even the loose card itself goes for $94.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully, though, Phantasy Star is so easy to come across because it's literally... you can get it on the Switch, the store.
Oh, nice.
It's just a Sega Classic that you can get. But moving on now, we'll go to the Sega Genesis. And so this one I find really funny. Originally, my most valuable game on the Genesis was
Castlevania
Bloodlines.
Yes.
Since then, though, I this is the game you're talking about. I found that complete copy of Phantasy Star 4.
Oh, yep, okay.
A boxed copy of Phantasy Star 4 goes for almost $218.
Dang.
I think we paid like $90 because the box was ripped.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the inner sleeve was ripped, not the actual outer shell.
Yep.
That one was actually pretty cool. It's funny that my second most valuable game on the Genesis is a loose copy of Sparkster, apparently, which is rare.
Yep.
Huh. That's funny though. It's funny though. The value the value of like Phantasy Star 2 is shot up as well because I have it complete in box now, and that's almost $100.
Wow.
Now moving on to the Sega CD. At the time, my most valuable game was Popful Mail, and it's still Popful Mail. Granted, the thing is, Popful Mail has tripled in price since then. So at the time, I got a steal for it. I spent $200 at that. Remember we found that at State Line that one time?
Oh, yep.
I spent $200, and at the time it was going for around $300, so that was a really good deal. Now it's it's up to $600.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, and then below it is like Lunar 2. Lunar 2 is up to 400. Shining Force CD, almost 400. Lunar 1, 100, almost 200.
Yeah.
Not an affordable console to collect for.
Nope.
But yeah, Pop Full Metal still were right up there. And now moving on to the 32X.
32X.
So, I had originally said Knuckles Chaotix, and it's still Knuckles Chaotix.
Yep.
That is mostly because I have Knuckles Chaotix complete in box.
Oh, okay.
And that affects the value tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like almost a $300 game.
Dang. What's it without the box?
I'm not sure. It's probably high
hundreds.
It's either in the hundreds or the high like 90s area. Which is funny because it's such a average game in
Your
reality.
box, the quality is really nice for it, too.
The front looks really nice. The side's all ripped up.
Oh. How much did you pay for it?
I got that at a yard sale for $5.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So that's probably one of your most, like, if you sold it, that'd probably you'd get the most money back from that one. Wow.
Yeah, no, sick. I went to a yard sale and it was literally sitting on a stack of like old like any Nintendo games and stuff.
Well, you gotta hit up yard sales people. You never know what
this was.
People don't know what they're selling.
Well, no, this was years ago though. But I saw it sitting there. I didn't even have a 32X at the time. I just was like, hey.
I'll have one day.
I was like, I wanted one. I was like, this is a boxed 32X game. I'm buying this regardless.
Dang.
$5. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's crazy.
So, Sega Saturn now. Not surprisingly, Panzer Dragoon Saga then. It's still Panzer Dragoon Saga now.
Oh, okay.
This game is now up to over $1,000. Yeah.
How much did you spend on it?
Like $500.
Holy shit!
And we lowballed the guy too, because he wanted $600. We offered $500, and he took it.
That's insane.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, $1,000?
It's actually $1,175 is what the average price is right now.
So, like, why is this game so expensive?
Because it is one of the final 5 Saturn games to release.
Oh.
In America.
Okay.
And it's very sought after. It's one of like it's considered one of the greatest games ever made. Debatably, it depends on who you ask. It's definitely a marvel.
Yep.
For the time, and also the only way to play it is on the Saturn. Because it was never emulated.
Dang.
Yeah. It's one of the crown jewels of any collection. It's definitely my most valuable game of all time.
That's crazy.
It's funny though, because then my second most valuable game is Burning Rangers, another of the Saturn Final 5.
Yep.
That goes for, I paid $300 for my copy. It's going for almost $700 now.
Oh my god, how many of the Final 5 do you have?
3. I have. So the Final 5 is Panzer Dragoon Saga, Burning Rangers, Shining Force 3, which is the other one I have, and then it's House of the Dead and Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Wow.
Magic Knight Ray Earth is, I think, the hardest one to find right now, and that's also like the one I'm searching for right now.
Yep.
But yeah, very expensive. Yep. Not probably the one of the least affordable systems to collect for.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the Sega Dreamcast. Then when I made this list originally, it was Illbleed. And at the time of this podcast, it is still Illbleed.
Oh.
And Illbleed is almost $300 now.
Wow. How much did you spend?
So my Illbleed is one of those funny ones where I had to piece my copy together.
Oh, okay.
Because I bought the disc originally on eBay for $70. They claimed it was complete. It showed up and it only had a disc in the manual.
Well, that sucks.
And the seller mysteriously disappeared shortly after.
Ah.
And then I bought a second copy from John at Bowser's Basement for, I think I paid $80, which was, it was a second copy, but it was another copy of the disc, and then like the back. So I pieced them together to have a full copy. And
That's
then like
funny.
and then like 5 years later, I actually sold the extra disc back to John, and he gave me like $200 for it.
Oh, nice.
Because it's that valuable. The disc alone is almost $200.
Dang.
It's a very valuable game.
Yeah.
And Illbleed is probably honestly one of the most amazing, like...
Is it an RPG?
No, it's a horror game.
Oh.
It is like the most hilariously... It's so bad it's great.
Oh, okay.
Like, technically speaking, the game isn't amazing. Is pretty average.
Mediocre, yeah.
No, I wouldn't say mediocre. It's so average. But when you actually look at it and break it down, the game is freaking hilarious. It's like amazing how ridiculous everything about it is.
That's funny.
But then moving on from that, we get the Game Gear, the final Sega system. And at the time, my most valuable Game Gear game was Tails Adventure, and it's still Tails Adventure.
Yeah.
Just a very rare, hard to find game on the system. There is rarer ones like the Mega Man game for Genesis is super up there. Yeah. I mean for Game Gear. But yeah, Tails Adventure it's probably the only $100+ dollar Game Gear game I own. Huh. But anyways, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. So, anyway, continuing on, the PlayStation consoles. So these were the ones I was the most interested in, just because we grew up with PlayStation, so it's always been like one of those closed systems to us. So the original PlayStation, this one is actually probably the most interesting.
Oh my god! I just made a realization. I never realized that the PlayStation logo was a P and an S. I never made that connection. I just thought it was a weird symbol.
It's okay, young one.
I never made that connection until I looked at it in this photo.
You know the Xbox logo is an X. And yeah, it's like a box. So it's like a box opening.
I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. I just never made that connection for the PlayStation.
Well, anyways, so the original PlayStation logo. Original PlayStation. God damn it. So, originally I had my most valuable games for the system was...
I'm done.
It was a toss-up between original Persona 1 and Suikoden 2.
Suikoden.
Believe it or not, Suikoden's like the 5th most valuable game I own now.
Yep.
Like, it's still extremely valuable for the PlayStation. It's like over almost $400. Mm-hmm. But it's, at the time I bought it, obviously Suikoden 2, I paid $60 because I scared the guy at the flea market. But
yeah, I was there.
It's not nearly as valuable as I initially thought. And Persona, original Persona, while still valuable, is also like the 3rd most valuable game I own. Because original Persona now is going for like $447. Above that is Persona 2 at $465, but that's still not the most valuable game I own. So the most valuable game for the original PlayStation I own is Klonoa Door to Phantomime. Phantomile?
Yep.
At $550.
Ah. Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Klonoa.
$550?
Yeah. I paid $130. So.
Oh my god.
And I thought that was a lot then.
Little did you know.
Yeah, original PlayStation games are ridiculously overpriced right now, like some of them.
It's crazy.
Like it's just funny though. It's like original. The 2 games I had picked because I couldn't figure out were a toss-up. I have since been. They're like 3rd and 5th, and meanwhile Klonoa. I don't think I owned Klonoa at the time though. Now moving on to the PlayStation 2. So this one was tough because the PlayStation 2 there is some valuable games, but they're kind of here nor there.
Yep.
So at the time it was Dot Hack Part 4 Quarantine.
Yep.
Which is an oddly expensive game, especially when you compare it to the rest of the Dot Hack games, which are all... They're valuable, but they're like nowhere near that level. They're more in like the $60 to $70 range. But Part 4, for whatever reason, it must have been like a lower print run, is like $322.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's way up there. That's like just like one of those games that's like definitively that expensive. Because like the closest game I have to it in terms of value is Xenosaga Episode 3, which is like $260.
Are PlayStation games like popular right now in the collecting
PS2 is hit or miss. Like there's some games that are particularly valuable, but aside from that, it's very like
me.
Depends on the game. Like, obviously, like Dot Hack, but even then, the Dot Hack series is so niche. It's not even funny. Like, looking at the most expensive games I own, the first non RPG is like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
Yep.
Which is like almost $170 in terms of price.
Oh well.
Yeah, but that one's been still the same. Now moving on to the original PlayStation. Oh wow, this has shifted actually since I did my recalculations. So this was odd. So originally I had it as Tales of Xillia Limited.
Wait, the original PlayStation? You mean the PlayStation 3?
PlayStation 3, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
Originally I had it as like Tales of Xillia Limited Edition, which shows you how like not impressive my collection was at the time.
Well, at least your PlayStation 3 games have the time.
Yeah, because that game is like valued at like $37 now.
Oh no!
Since then, we've had a bunch that have shot up in price. Keep in mind though, these prices are going off of like price charting, which is not super accurate to the market in terms of what people are asking for.
Yeah.
Because there is rarer PS3 games out there now. Like there's like 3D Dot Game Hero, which is very hard to find. Folklore, a very obscure RPG. But believe it or not, my most valuable game on the PlayStation right now is supposedly... So price charting is trying to tell me that it's Spider-Man Edge of Time.
Yep.
Which I guess at like $85. There's also the Arland Atelier trilogy, which is pretty up there, and then Legend of Spyro: Dawn of the Dragon at like $70. It's kind of crazy how it's like the most random games possible are just like expensive for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was Tales of Xillia, which is apparently not worth much.
Nope. Well, was the limited edition a little more expensive, or not even?
Even the game, it's even limited edition. It's like not much.
Oh, okay.
Just a thing that exists.
Yeah, I don't know if the next one is also gonna change.
Oh, PS4. So, moving on now to PS4.
Forward.
So I had
Trademark.
I had my most valuable game for the PS4 listed as Persona 5 Take Your Heart Premium Edition.
Yep.
It still is up there.
Oh, okay.
The Take Your Heart Premium Edition was really cool when it came out, even though the soundtrack disc that came with it was really lame.
Aww.
But yeah, it's going currently. That collection is going for about $122.
Oh, wow.
In terms of the closest game in terms of value I have to it is Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2, the Steelbook Collector's Edition, which is like almost $120.
Oh, okay.
Also, it's funny because Persona 5 Royal Phantom Thieves Edition is only like $101.
Huh.
Like, yeah, PS4 price. The PS4 games just aren't old enough yet to really have like these like super rares.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That like as we get to the newer consoles, they just don't have as expensive titles because
they're
so
newer
new and they're more available. It's not like, you know.
Now, obviously, when I made this list, the PS5 wasn't a thing, so honorable mention, I guess, technically Elden Ring is my most valuable game because it's the newest one I own.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Just throwing that one out there. Now, let's get to the PSP. So...
The original PlayStation handheld.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. The Pocket Station was the first one.
Shit. I fucked up.
A glorified... Which was basically a glorified memory card, but...
Oh.
Still. So the PSP most valuable title at the time I had, it was Ys, the Oath of Felgolana. I probably butchered that. Since then though, it's actually shifted a bit. That's still pretty valuable at $179. But I actually have since then, the most valuable game I own is actually The Legend of Heroes 3 Songs of the Ocean.
Oh.
Which is going for $250 around there.
Oh.
Like, it's gone up considerably over time.
Damn.
Which is kind of odd, because it's not the most remarkable RPG ever made, but it does exist. I paid like $70 for it back in the day when I bought it. PSP stuff is getting pretty up there, I've noticed lately. The PSP itself is like becoming a much more sought-after system, just in terms of its in crazy library.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the Vita. So the Vita is interesting because it's also kind of getting a lot of expensive games, but the thing with Vita games is they're expensive, but they're all kind of around that 70 to 80 range right now, which is expensive, but it's not like
like
ungodly expensive. So my most valuable Vita game at the time was Persona 4 Dancing All Night Disco Fever Collector's Edition, and it's still that because that is I guess just a rare collectible.
Yeah.
These days. A cool collectible, one of the best soundtrack CDs I've ever gotten at pre-order because it was literally the whole soundtrack. But yeah, so moving on from there, now we're going to get to
the final section.
Well, now for all the miscellaneous consoles.
Ah.
So this one was fun. The original Xbox. When I first made this list, I didn't really know, so it's not really a secret. The original Xbox is like probably one of the most best systems to collect for because no one cares about it right now. At the time, I said Panzer Dragoon Orta was my most valuable, which it's a decently valuable title. Not crazy. It goes for like $30 to $40.
Oh.
We're talking original Xbox here, not the most valuable system.
Not sought after.
So my most valuable Xbox game I found out, which this made me laugh, is Dino Crisis 3.
Dino Crisis 3? What is that about?
It's Resident Evil with dinosaurs.
Oh.
But the third game is one of the worst games ever made. Like, Dino Crisis 3 is a fucking dumpster fire of a game. So...
Yep.
Yeah, but that made me laugh, though. It's apparently the most valuable original Xbox game I own.
That is funny.
Then moving on to the Xbox 360. Originally, I thought I found out my most valuable game was Magna Carta 2. Mm-hmm. And that game is still pretty valuable at $38. Because Xbox 360 games aren't that expensive either. But it's since been surpassed by, I have a game now called Akai Katana, which is like a bullet hell shoot 'em up game that has like really anime art for no reason, but it is currently around like almost $50.
Yep.
Because that's valuable. You know what's funny? My third most valuable, according to Price Trading, my third most valuable 360 game is apparently Sonic 06.
Sonic 06?
At $27, which is $27 too much, may I add.
Yeah. It's really not worth.
It's not worth anything. It's worthless.
It's garbage. If you want to see
game.
bestiality, you go on right ahead and purchase it.
That $27. The soundtrack is worth that.
Yeah.
Now moving on, we get to now we're in obscure console territory. So here we have the 3DO.
Woo!
And so the 3DO is a little confusing because
3DO has the giant boxes, right?
Yes. So 3DO pricing is a little confusing because they don't take into account collectability. So I initially said my copy of Gex, just because it's complete in box.
Yep.
Price charting is telling me it's actually a game called Seal of the Pharaoh.
Oh.
But a boxed copy of Gex I've seen online still goes for like a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what to say on this one, to be honest, and I just kind of went with... I'm still going to say Gex is probably my most valuable game. Just for the sheer amount of money that a boxed copy goes for.
Yep.
Now, moving on from the 3DO, now we're getting into like... So here's some Atari stuff. The Atari Lynx.
Ooh.
Originally, my most valuable Atari Lynx game was Gauntlet Legends.
Yep.
I'm not Gauntlet Legends, Gauntlet The Third Encounter.
Yep.
And I want to say it is still Gauntlet The Third Encounter. Because Lynx games are really not worth much.
Yep.
And yeah, it is. And it's only valued at around $25.
Oh. Whoa.
Yeah. Then moving on, we get to the Atari Jaguar. Now, this one was interesting to me. Because initially, my most valuable Jaguar game... Alex really likes the Jaguar.
It's the best console ever made.
Yeah.
Where did you learn to fly?
It doesn't say that as much as people would make you think. But originally, my most valuable game for it was Wolfenstein 3D.
Yep.
Since then, though, I have acquired 2 extremely rare games for the system in the forms of Rayman, which is my most valuable game for the Jaguar, and then Attack of the Mutant Penguins, which is right up there.
That's the best game ever.
Also,
we don't know how to play it.
Also, ironically, Raiden is more valuable now. Alien vs. Predators shot up above Wolfenstein, and Tempest 2000 is my box copy is pretty valuable as well.
Yeah. The Atari Jaguar is priceless. It's a perfect game system.
I also wanted to throw in an honorable.
It's way better than the N64.
So I didn't.
In every way.
I didn't have a 2600 at the time of making this list. So I'll just throw an honorable mention that my most valuable 2600 game is my boxed, sealed copy of Klex.
Nice.
Now moving on, the TurboGrafx 16. I only have like 4 or so games for this thing. And at the time, my most valuable game was a game called Newtopia.
Yep.
Which is essentially a Zelda clone. A Zelda-style game.
Yep.
And it is still my most valuable game.
Do you still only have 4?
I have like 5 now.
Okay.
No, I have like 6. That's my total.
666.
Yes.
Devil.
But yeah, it's still Newtopia.
Bill worships him.
Now we get to... So now some other ones. Then we get the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Another obscure little handheld.
Sonic!
Yeah, so at the time, my most valuable... I only had 2 games for the thing, so I mean, I was grasping at straws. And the other one was Puzzle Bobble. Yep. Ironically, Puzzle Bobble's worth more than Sonic Pocket Adventure now. But my most valuable game for the Neo Geo Pocket Color is a game called Fuseli, which is an RPG that was made by the same people that made like Clodelka and the Shadow Hearts games.
Oh, cool.
And then finally, to round this out, because they were really grasping at straws for consoles at this point, is the Wonder Swan, which initially I said Final Fantasy II, a boxed copy, but I've since now found out that I have this a set of these Inuyasha games for the Wonder Swan that are all boxed, like basically brand new.
Yep.
And they are actually slightly more valuable. And yeah, that's basically it at this point.
Yeah.
So
I still can't believe that you own a game that's worth $1,000. That's bonkers to me.
Well,
so that's your most expensive one.
That's
right?
my most valuable game, but my most valuable collection is my original PlayStation collection.
Oh, okay.
Which is valued at an estimated $14,000.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy though, just how freaking collectible a lot of these games are now. Like, the prices have fluctuated a lot.
Yeah.
In the time since I started collecting, and honestly, if I started collecting now, I'd have like none of these games because I just can't justify those prices.
No.
They're so absurdly expensive.
Bonkers. I don't know how someone could go into collecting right now and not be depressed or very, very broke.
Or just bitchy about how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Because that's unfortunately...
Oh, wait, people are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It's just an expensive hobby that we just can't... You can't do anything about it.
Nope.
That's what it is. But,
What is it?
Yeah. But anyways, guys, I just thought this would be a fun little thing to share.
No, it definitely was. I mean, like, I still can't get over the fact that you own a game that's worth $1,000.
That I own Pan's Dragoon Saga.
That's it's just bonkers to me. That's so cool. But the crazy thing is there games that are even more expensive than that out there?
Arguably, I want to say yes. But at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll find out
it's definitely...
on the next episode of the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
yeah, sure. But anyways, guys, I do want to revisit this later on at some point. Just to, like, see. Because you never know. There could be more, honestly, expensive games out there.
Yeah.
And maybe the things will fluctuate again. But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Good Pods. We are made on Anchor Podcast. And the episodes do eventually come out on YouTube when, I have no idea. Right now we're kind of... It's up in the air when that's going to happen.
We got fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But anyways, guys, we will see you all next time. And thanks once again for joining us.
Yeah. Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye.